What's up, guys? Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for wide receivers to beat every press DB. So we're going to be talking about 3 different press coverage situations. We're going to be talking about how you can beat a disciplined DB who's trying to really focus on watching your hips. Then we're going to be talking about how you guys can get some more explosion off the line of scrimmage. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about what angles you should take off the line of scrimmage with longer developing releases like a slide release. So I hope this video helps you guys out. But also, fellas, if you guys want to get some work in with us this offseason, we are coming out to 6 different locations for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps / clinics. Okay, the reason why I call them clinics is because spots are going to be limited in these things, fellas. We're only going to be having about 10 to 12 guys per position group per age group. So you're going to be getting a ton of reps, 2 whole days, and 4 hours each day. So if you guys are local to the Atlanta, Georgia area, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, or Los Angeles, California, and would like to get some work in, check out that very first link in the description below. We would love to have you out to one of our camps. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to work with myself and my staff of coaches in these 6 different states. So I hope we can see you guys out there. Let's get started with this video. So first things first here, we're looking at this release from Amari Cooper. So what do we do when I'm going up against a disciplined DB? And it is very important that I do something that I call throwing your hips, okay? So when you guys get up into a route, it is super important that you are not just selling with your feet, you're not just selling with your head and your shoulders and just giving a little lean. You are throwing your body into the cut, right? So we got like a DB who's lined up a little bit inside shade and we have to run a comeback, right? So a lot of wide receivers, the mistake that they'll make on outside routes like that is that they'll just take off to the outside. That's exactly what the DB wants you to do. Now, when he's lined up inside shade, he is trying to protect the inside, right? So this DB is very disciplined. When we come off the line of scrimmage and we attack his leverage, you see how he's sitting to the outside. He's trying to guess this route. He's trying to stay disciplined. He's trying to watch his hips and see what Amari Cooper is doing. So how we can combat this as a wide receiver is you want to throw into the cut. That means that you want to have your hip attached with your foot. So when you see him make this cut here, you see how far he's stepping. He's actually stepping outside the frame of the DB. He's bringing his hip with the cut. Foot might be a little bit too wide, but you see when you bring your hip with the foot, that turns your hips as a whole and your shoulders, not just leaning with your head and with your shoulders. That is what's going to get a DB to bite, and that is what's going to get him to move off the platform. You want to think of it like driving. If you're familiar with this page, you've heard me say this before. You got the left lane, you got the middle lane, and you got the right lane. What so many wide receivers do is that they operate in this middle lane. They just give the look. They think that they could just sell by just leaning with their head and their shoulders in a direction, but your hips do not move when you do that. So when you guys actually make a move and you're trying to get this DB to move to the inside lane over here, you actually have to step to the outside or the inside lane, and you actually have to bring your upper body to the inside lane because that is what will get a disciplined DB to move. A bad DB is not going to know the difference. He's going to be looking at your eyes, he's going to be looking at your shoulders, and we will easily work that guy off the line. But when you have a disciplined guy who's looking at your hips, you have to make sure that we are stepping outside of his frame, but to make sure that this step isn't too wide, I actually have some explosion. I got to bring my hip, I have to bring my upper half to not only help me with that balance, but to help me to sell the route. So I can move the DB off the platform and get the free outside release. So let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. So first tip to beat every kind of DB, a disciplined DB especially, is you have to step outside the frame and you have to make sure that your body is attached with the cut. Let's play at full speed. Great job hesitating, throwing the move outside, then bursting back up vertical. Could have maybe restacked a little bit tighter. Okay, so now, how can you guys get a little bit more explosion with your releases off the line? And that is going to come from, we're mainly going to be focused on a crossover step here, but it's going to help throw your hip like we were just talking about, but mainly being explosive with your first step of a crossover. So we're looking at this release here from Jerry Jeudy. So he attacks the DB's leverage, then throws a 1-2, right? And you see how much he gets that DB to flip his hips. So anytime that you guys are, let's say it's off the line of scrimmage and I'm trying to throw like a 1-2, let's say it's a situation where maybe I slide to the outside, or a situation where I'm closing the distance and I have to throw a 1-2. So a 1-2 cut is essentially like a rocker step, right? So like he has to run an inside route. So on a 1-2, instead of just breaking off of his outside foot, he's going to be going in, then out. Now that inside step right there, how you can get more explosive is you want to try to be as sudden as you can with this inside step and push off of it. So what a lot of wide receivers do is that when they get to this position, they always attack leverage fine, they close distance fine, but when it's time to sell the move, they will be here. They'll take a first step, but that first step is just like like a step in the ground, and there's no push, there's no explosion off of it. You want to think of it like you're playing basketball and you are trying to do a crossover, right? Because when you guys do this first step, if you're just stomping, like if you're just stepping down and you're not pushing to throw your hip into this thing, you will get no explosion and you will not be able to sell the route. So many wide receivers just step. No, you want to be a quick, explosive step and you want to push off of that step. It's a cut. That's how you want to think of this thing. So you see how Jeudy, that first step is explosive. He's not trying to sell anything. He's selling on the second cut. He's going to sell this outside cut to make this DB think he's going outside release, and trying to get him to flip his hip. So when he takes that first step, he's pushing off of these. He's pushing off the arch. When you guys are pushing off of that foot and pushing in the direction, almost like at a 45-degree angle, that makes this cut so much more explosive, and you have so much more speed, and there's a lot more quickness in selling the move with your hips and with your shoulders, because you see how quick he's turning his upper body and how much he's turning his upper body. Because when that DB's watching the hips, that is what it takes. So to help you guys with the tip 2 builds into tip 1. Tip 1 is you have to step outside the frame and you got to throw your hip. How you can get faster at that and get more explosive at throwing your hip, selling with your upper body, is by taking that explosive first step. That explosive first step allows you to push, throw your hip, almost like a crossover, like he's got a basketball, and that's what will get that DB to jump and will help you create explosion off the line of scrimmage. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Let's play this thing again full speed. So second tip to beat every press DB, to be more explosive, to be faster off the line, your first step in a crossover needs to be explosive, sudden step, and you are pushing off of that step to throw your hip and to throw your shoulders into the move. Let's watch the thing again full speed one more time. Great job by Jeudy throwing the crossover, getting that DB to flip his hips, and then making this catch over the middle. So now, last but not least, what I want to talk about is the right angle that you want to take off the line. So what Anderson's going to be doing here is a slide release, okay? So what is a slide release? A slide release is a release where you're sliding the DB outside to try to get him to move off the platform, and then you're maybe giving him a move, maybe a 1-2 like that crossover, and running a slant back over the middle. So on this slide, so many wide receivers will do this incorrectly, and this goes for any release. They'll operate lateral, right? They'll go operate behind the line of scrimmage. And when you guys are doing all these fancy, dance moves almost behind the line of scrimmage, that does not threaten the DB, and that does not get the DB to move, right? So when you guys are doing when you guys are focused on angles off the line, it is all about attacking almost at a 45 and threatening him vertically. So we talked about it in the very first clip, and I'll play this clip full speed in a second, but we talked about it first clip. If you're going releases, you got the left lane, you got the middle lane, and then you got the right lane. I have to threaten him to the right lane. It's all about the angle that I take. I can't threaten him to the right lane by stepping laterally, right? If I step super wide outside, he will not move. And even if he does move, even if I am stepping here, let's say I'm stepping wide to try to go back inside, but let's say I'm stepping laterally. Even if that DB does jump to the outside, you still have to get to here, and you got all this space in between the two of you for him to recover. So you have to attack him vertically. You have to attack him almost at a 45-degree angle to get him to open up. So let's play this thing full speed. So you see when Anderson slides, he slides on that 45. That's what gets the DB to move, and that's what allows him to get space, right? Because now he's here. So he does like a little prep step with the front foot. That is to push you out of the release. So anytime you guys are doing a slide release, you guys should either be kicking behind, doing that kick step, or taking a little prep step with the front foot. But that prep step allows him to shoot vertical, right? Because when he does this slide release, now he's getting into the cushion of the DB. He's closing the gap in between the two of them. And there's always a threat of him running a fade. He could just hesitate and then go take off to the outside. Maybe we've worked that a couple times. Maybe I've set that up even when I'm not getting the ball on this specific play, but we have to make sure that we are threatening vertical. So when Anderson does that off the line, he doesn't do anything fancy. He just does a little crossover, a little head and shoulder fake to the outside. But when I get that DB to move off the platform from attacking him vertical, look at this. When I burst up into the slant, there's not much space for him to recover, and there's not much time for him to recover, right? Because there's not enough space between the two of us. I could easily just run past him and make this catch. And that those inches right there, that little difference is the difference between him getting a hand on the ball and us making a catch. Those inches matter because now we rewind it, right? So let's look at this. Imagine if he would have gone here. and he would have done that crossover, and he would have had to run the slant. DB would have recovered all day long. But because he took the right angle, because he went on that 45 degree, that's what got that DB to bite. That's what got him to move off the platform, because there was always a threat of a fade. And that threat of a fade is enough to get that DB off his stance, out of his maybe, like squatted motor technique, if you will, and then be able to accelerate. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Anderson taking the right angle, giving a move, and then accelerating out of this route to widen the gap. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, and it's always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, we are coming out to 6 different locations across the U.S. We're coming out to Atlanta, Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, and Los Angeles. Our 2 most popular camps are probably Dallas and Los Angeles currently, even though those are a few months away. And then our Atlanta, Columbus, and Chicago camps are almost completely sold out. So Nashville, we really want to get out there, and we have a ton of people traveling out to Nashville, but we're very pumped up to get out there as well. That's in July. So if you guys are local to one of these camps, I suggest you get on it now if you're thinking about attending, because these spots continue to fill up every single day. So very first link below if you guys are interested in attending one of our off-season camps. I'll see you guys next time.